Welcome back to Horrors Worldwide. Today I'm going to explain an American supernatural horror film called It Follows, released in 2014. Spoilers ahead! Watch out and stay safe. At the beginning of the movie, we see a girl named Annie running away from her house in abject terror. Her father comes out and calls after her. Annie lies to her father, saying that she is okay. Finally, she circles back home and gets her car keys. Now with her car, she is shown driving to the beach. At the beach, she calls her father and tells him that she's sorry for being so unkind to him. Annie is tired of running and waits for what lies ahead. In the morning, it's shown that she was brutally murdered during the night. Her leg is twisted and a bone is seen sticking out of it. Talk about an effective way to set a precedent for the film you're about to watch. This movie just went from 0 to 100 on the grotesque meter. But strap in, horror fans, we're just getting started. The scene then switches to Jay Height, who is relaxing in a pool. Her sister, Kelly Height, invites her to watch a movie with her friends, but Jay refuses to go and continues swimming. Later that day, Jay has a date with her boyfriend Hugh and gets ready for that. On the date with Hugh at the movie theater, Jay teaches Hugh a game she and her sister play. In the game, Hugh has to select a person he wants to trade places with, and Jay has to guess who he chose. When Jay fails to guess the person he chooses, Hugh points to a young woman in a yellow dress. But Jay, however, doesn't see the woman in the yellow dress. This is where the movie starts to get really interesting. Suddenly, Hugh starts getting afraid and demands to Jay that they leave the theater. He says that he didn't feel comfortable being there. The next day, Jay and his sister Kelly talk about the previous night's date and Hugh. Jay likes him, but is still concerned about his behavior in the theater. Even though she accepted his story, that he wasn't feeling well, Jay thinks Hugh was hiding something. On their next date, Hugh takes Jay to a secluded area. The two spend a passionate night in his car. Afterward, Jay reminisces about her views on love until Hugh chloroforms her. When Jay awakens, she is tied up in a wheelchair. Hugh is there and explains to her that after they had sex, he passed on a curse to her. And the curse is an entity that can only be seen by the person with the curse, which is now Jay. The entity can take the form of any person and will follow Jay repeatedly at a walking pace. If it catches Jay, it will kill her, and the curse will return to the previous person. That is some clever writing. Think about it. Even if you pass the curse on, the entity could easily kill the next owners and come right back at any point. I'd surely live out the rest of my days looking over my shoulder and sleeping with one eye open. Hugh says he got the curse from some girl he had a one-night stand with, and it will continue to stalk Jay until she passes the curse on to someone else. He instructs Jay that she has to sleep with someone to pass it to that person. At that moment, Hugh spots an unadorned woman walking towards them. Hugh drops Jay off at home and continues to flee. Kelly and her friends are playing cards at their house when they witness Hugh dropping off Jay on the road. Kelly, Paul, and Yara rush to her aid and call the cops. The police try to track down Hugh, but they couldn't find him since he has used a fake name. See? I told you it was getting interesting. While at college, Jay spots an old woman in a hospital gown walking towards her. Everyone around does not appear to notice the old woman. Jay hardly leaves the class. As the old woman gets close to her, she gets into her car and leaves the school. Jay heads to the ice cream shop where her sister Kelly and her friend Paul work. Jay explains everything Hugh said to them. Kelly and Paul believe her and agree to help her. Paul, who had a crush on Jay for a very long time, offers to stay at their house for the night to watch over them. During the night, Jay couldn't sleep and joined Paul in the living room to watch a movie. As the movie plays, they hear a noise of a window breaking from the kitchen. Paul goes inside and examines the smashed window in the kitchen. He looks around but does not see anyone. He then heads upstairs to wake up Kelly, leaving Jay alone. Jay walks into the kitchen nervously and sees an almost naked woman with dark eyes walking towards her. She screams and runs to tell the others, but none of them can see anything. Jay locks herself inside her room and lets no one come inside. Kelly and Paul beg her to let them in and try to convince Jay that there is no one else in the house. Suddenly, a tall man with dark eyes walks into the room. Horrified, Jay runs out of the house to a playground nearby where her sister Kelly and friends catch up to her. A neighbor named Greg offers to help the group by giving them a ride. Jay and her friends plan to confront Hugh to have more clarity on the situation. I guess using a false name wasn't enough to keep Hugh further away from the entity. After tracking Hugh down by figuring out his real address, he insists on his original story, telling Jay that she needs to sleep with someone in order to successfully pass the curse onto someone else. I have never been so happy to not be in a horror movie. That is a ruthless curse. The group then goes back to Greg's house. The following day, while the group is sitting by the water, the entity comes in the form of Yara and attacks Jay. She manages to shoot it, but it does not die. Jay gets into a car and drives away, but she only manages to crash into a cornfield. When Jay awakens, she is within the hospital being treated for her broken arm. Before she is released, Jay decides to pass the curse onto somebody else. She sleeps with Greg in her hospital bed in hopes of successfully passing the curse onto him. I guess it's true what they say. Desperate times call for desperate measures. And I know what you're thinking, but can you really blame Jay? If you think this is weird, it's only gonna get weirder. I mean, that's the appeal of the movie. After that, one day, Jay spots a person walking down the street to Greg's house. When the person gets to Greg's house, he breaks a window and enters. Jay runs over to the house and peeks inside, with the intention of warning Greg, but the person is already in Greg's bedroom, looking like his mother. The entity jumps on top of Greg and kills him. Now the curse is reverted back to Jay. She drives away in grief and fear of what she had just witnessed. Jay stops near the beach and falls asleep. When she awakens in the morning, Jay spots 3 men on a boat. She undresses and goes into the water, hoping that she can sleep with one of the men and can pass on the curse to buy herself more time. She successfully passes her curse to someone on the boat and drives back home. I totally get that she's desperate, but you really have to admire Jay's creativity. I mean, wow. After a few days, when Jay is in her room, Paul offers his help to let her pass the curse to him. But Jay rebuffs him since she does not want him to be killed. After talking for a moment about Greg and the feeling Paul has for Jay, Paul suggests an idea on how to stop the entity. As they drive away from her house, Jay spots it again, posing as a naked man on the roof of the building. The entity has killed the men she was with at the boat and is now back to hunting her again. This girl just can't catch a break. The group goes to a deserted swimming pool in hopes of luring it into the water, then electrocuting it. Jay is the bait and gets into the pool. When she finally spots it, it has taken on the appearance of her father, but it has figured out the plan and starts throwing electrical devices into the water to kill Jay. Yeah, the entity has a mind of its own. The stakes just got way higher, right? Paul grabs the gun and shoots in the direction Jay points, but accidentally hits Yara's leg. Kelly grabs a blanket and throws it over the entity to help Paul shoot it. Paul now shoots it in the head, and it collapses into the water. Jay hurriedly swims to the side, but it grabs her by the leg and pulls her down to the bottom of the pool. Paul continues shooting into the water with a rough idea of its position. He finally shoots it on the head again, supposedly killing the entity. After heading home, Paul and Jay have sex, and then Paul drives to a rundown part of Detroit, where prostitutes are walking the road. He plans to have sex with a hooker in order to quickly pass the curse to her. It may not be a textbook romance, but you have to give Paul credit. Would you do this for the one you're crushing on? Let us know in the comments. Sometime later, when Jay and Paul are walking down the road, a person follows them from behind, and the film, in great and ambiguous fashion, ends there.